The next paper
is entitled 21 Years of UFO Reports. It's by Professor J. Allen Hynek, who's chairman of the Department of Astronomy and director of the Lindheimer Astronomical Research Center at Northwestern University. Professor Hynek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My role here today is that of reporter, to report to you on my score or so years of experience with UFO reports. Note that I don't say UFOs. I was asked in 1948 as an astronomer to review the UFO reports received by the Air Force to determine how many of them originated from misperceptions of astronomical objects. This consultancy continued across the years and gave me the chance to monitor the flow of UFO reports submitted to the Air Force and to observe the Air Force handling of the problem as first one, then another officer took charge of Project Blue Book. I became increasingly aware that the phenomenon of UFO reports not only persisted in this country, but in many areas over the world, and that it didn't disappear as one might expect a craze or a fad to disappear. And it began to concern me that if there were some worldwide compulsion to report strange things, why this particular subset of strange reports out of an infinite universe of possible strange reports? The degree of strangeness is certainly one dimension of a filtered UFO report. The higher the strangeness index, the more information elements which defy explanation in ordinary physical terms the report contains. For instance, there are more than 100 reports on record of UFOs that reportedly caused car ignition failures. A typical case runs something like this. Suddenly, as if from nowhere, a bright light appears. As it stops to hover over the car lights dim or fail, and the engine dies, the radio either stops and has a lot of static on it, and the windshield wipers stop. Often the occupants of the car report feeling hot and prickly. After a few minutes, the apparition leaves and the car returns to normal operation, but the witnesses often do not. The majority of such witnesses, contrary to popular belief, were originally highly skeptical about UFOs. Suddenly they had an experience which profoundly affected them, sometimes traumatically. Yet they know only too well that they will be targets for ridicule if they report, for as they confess, they have often in the past ridiculed others. So certain was the Air Force, at least publicly, that all UFO reports must represent normal things that they saw no point to serious investigation. And most of the time that I acted as consultant of the Air Force, I repeatedly urged immediate reaction capability and proper scientific investigation with no avail. We have really here the crux of the problem. Neither you, as informed, active scientists, nor the public have access to this information. Unfortunately, you who may wish to be informed about UFOs must get your information in the intellectual alleys where it is written like forbidden words on the back fences of literature, the pulp magazines, the sensation, adventure, mystery, and sex magazines. There is in this country not one scientific journal in which I could publish a well-documented UFO case, and hence effectively violate the methodological criteria governing the advance of science, which, as he states, are: 1, it must be possible for new observational data to occur. That is, the existing conceptual framework of science, or the attitudes of scientists, must not rule out such new data a priori. 2, that the existing conceptual framework must allow new concepts, principles, laws, etc. to be formulated to interpret and explain the new observational data. Finally, may I say that although I know of no hypothesis that adequately covers the mountainous evidence, this should not, nor must not, deter us from following the advice of Schrödinger to be curious, capable of being astonished, and eager to find out. Thank you.